It's bigger. It's louder. It's better than ever. This still isn't your typical motorsports podcast. This is the 10th anniversary of Crush This, a monster truck podcast brought to you by J Concepts. For 10 years, your hosts, the monster truck Canucker Bradshaw and Dan Chichagash, have brought you into the minds and personalities of the monster truck industry. Strap in and hold on tight. This is Crush This!
Hey, welcome to another episode of Crush This, a monster truck podcast presented by J Concepts. Man, what an episode we're going to have here tonight, folks. I want to thank all the people that are on here, all the 5-star likes on iTunes and on Spotify. Once again, guys, if you want to get a truck just like this one, my Bigfoot Chrome Illusion with the 2005 Ford F-250 body with the JB scale graphic wrap and the J Concepts wheels and tires, go to J Concepts. Type in Crush This at jconcepts.net for 15% off all items during checkout. And go ahead and go there and see all that jazz right there and get yourself some cool items from J Concepts. I want to thank them for what they have done. Also, want to go to our spread shop, get a t-shirt or a hat like this one right here, or Crush This, a monster truck podcast hat, and get that right there. Go Crush This, a monster truck podcast, myspreadshop.com, and get yourself some cool merch. Also, our friend Bryce Kenny, he does a book called Geared for Life, making the shift into your full potential. It's on Amazon.com. Good book. I have an audio. Brad has an audio book too. And go ahead and take a look at that also. Bradshaw is coming back from work right now, so he's going to miss the program. Bummer. But we'll have him on next week. Next week we're going to have Alex Barden, who is right now on the sidelines, but he'll be driving Earthshaker, and he drove Stone Crusher last year and all that jazz. Also, this episode will be on iTunes, on Spotify. But if you don't have that platform and you follow monstersmonthly.com, our episodes are on that website. So go to monstersmonthly.com and take a look at all our audio. Listen to it on your long road trips, stuff like that. So go take a look at that too. This weekend, I will be in Austin, Texas for the Austin Rodeo. Me, Nathan, and our new guy, Levi. You may know him, Lenny. He had his monster truck there last week. It was Gravedigger. But we will be there. And also the guys at the Monster Jam will be in Mississippi, Tolupa. It's the home of, it was the birthplace of Elvis Presley. That's all I know. But that's pretty cool to go to. Also, once again, if you guys wanted to help out Mike Welch, the People's Pete, get his monster truck up and running. It's the Foreman Clydesdale racetrack. There's his P.O. box. If you guys want to help out and donate and be a sponsor, that'd be awesome to do. You guys have and help him out. So fans, if you have any questions, please go to our comments and go ahead and ask away. Also, we will type that into while we're done with our, well, that was good. There we go. Our first commercial, and we'll get started with Ken Kelly. So here we go down there, and already got people asking questions, but it's okay. So here's our first one.
Are you ready to get in on the action here on the Monster Truck Attitude YouTube channel? Look no further. Head over to Facebook where you can sign up for all the great events we host right here on the MTA YouTube channel. Be sure to sign up for the events and register your name and get locked in with a monster truck of your own and get ready for the great thrills and spills right here on the MTA YouTube channel. Again, find us on Facebook, register for these events, and you soon will be competing in all the great events. We hope to see you there. And get ready for the wild and crazy action. Be sure to subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss a beat right here on the Monster Truck Attitude YouTube channel.
Man, thank you again for Steve Jones and MTA Monster Truck Attitude Downhill Monster Truck Racing. But we're here with, man, I call him Superfly. But Ken, how you doing?
Doing fine. How are you?
Doing good, sir. Doing good. So when we wanted to talk about, we always do like a timeline. Oh, we just lost service. Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me, Ken?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. All right, cool. So let's go back. We always do like a timeline type form, and we always ask the beginning of the questions and stuff like that. And normally we always say, how do you get started? And you're a monster truck fan and stuff like that when you started. But when you first started with Team Bigfoot, with the Bigfoot team, I mean that's when monster trucks did start. Getting the popular in the 80s. So, how did you, let's go fast forward here, but you're a co-worker with Jim Kramer. So how did that all started, and how did you get into the team with Jim and Bob?
You're breaking up, but I think I know what you're asking. Me and Jim worked together as mechanics. He was a heavy equipment mechanic, and I was an apprentice, and we worked at the same place. And then I went to a different company. Me and him remained friends, and the opportunity came up after Bigfoot 2 was being built, or almost done. And the opportunity came up that they needed help. Jim started driving for Bob, and then I became a part-time crew guy. And then it just progressed from there.
So what was the first, so you get there and you started being part of the team. Did you start off being a crew member, or did they said, "Hey Ken, we got a truck here. We're gonna send you off with it with that"? How did back then work out?
You're cutting in and out. I can't make out exactly what you're asking me. But I started out as a crew guy. That was just helping transport the truck, clean it, and do whatever. And then it progressed into later on driving the truck.
Okay, I'm trying to get the service a little bit better here. Let me get my I have my other phone here. Turn off Wi-Fi. Okay. All right. Can you hear me now? 10-4. I don't want to be choppy or anything like that, so I'm going to try to eliminate as much other services using my Wi-Fi as possible. So you come about and you start working on doing trucks and stuff like that. When was the talks of you doing a car crush? Was that something you wanted to do, or you're like, yeah, I'm all right not doing it? But what got you to car crush, use a monster truck for a car crush?
there again, I think I understand what you're asking me, but you're still in and out. Like I said, I knew Jim, and him and Bob have been friends for a long time. One night, he's like, "Let's go up to the shop. They're going to do burnout. They're going to try to do fire burnouts with the truck." I said, "Sure, I'm in. Let's go." And it kind of started there and progressed on. I was down at the first car crush that they ever did. And shortly after that, I guess is when I did start working for him.
Nice. And then I have a video here. Let's go here. Share screen. This video. If you see, it's Autorama in 1984, and the person stated that you were there with the Bigfoot. I think this was Bigfoot 3, and you were doing an Autorama event also, and doing displays and everything like that. They said you were signing autographs too, and then I believe also you parked the truck on a set of cars. There's Dan Patterson's drawing. But how did you like doing the displays for showing off the Bigfoot truck? So yeah, that's the pictures from '84's Autorama. What was it like doing displays for Bigfoot?
How did you like? Doing displays. Yes, what?
What?
He asked.
My wife just brought a phone in. And
Oh,
she said, "You're asking me what I like doing displays."
yeah.
That was fun. My wife just brought a phone.
Oh. Testing, 1, 2, 3. So anyway, the video or the video or the pictures that are showing here about the event.
Is there any way you could send my wife a link to this so we can change computers or something?
Yes, we. Oh. Let's see here. Sorry for the technical difficulties, folks. We're trying to get this going here. And go ahead and send the link over. The link that you can send her is the same link on the Facebook. Let's see here. I just sent you on Messenger that link.
He sent you a message on.
Do what?
He sent you a message on Facebook link.
He said for you to get on.
Yeah, I know you have to send me it.
I don't have my phone.
Let's see here.
Sorry.
It's all right. No problem. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to show that video again. Someone just sent me the video from the rollover you had in Arrowhead.
Okay. I can hear you fine now. You're not breaking up or anything. So
Interesting. Okay, so let's go back to that video that I wanted to show you.
Yeah, Kenny.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, I know, but I have to open this up. And
All right, can you
get
see
it
that,
on
Ken?
the computer. Oh, forget it. Okay.
So this
Yes.
event here at Salt Lake City, it was 1984, and I think that's Bigfoot 3. But how did you like doing displays? It looked like here also you did a car crush too at this Autorama. Did you do a lot of Autoramas back
that's a
then? also?
Autorama.
Yeah.
Is it working?
Yes, I can see the pictures now.
They give the Tomer stuff for the access, but it shows, and that also shows pictures of the rig too. So that you fit everything in that rig with Bigfoot in it that travel across the country with. And you know, yeah, with all the artwork and everything like that. I mean, that looks, yeah, it looks beautiful.
That was Big 3. Yeah, that truck was a very nice piece when it came out.
And you took a part of building that truck, so there it is. They're about to do the
And a
car
lot
crush
of
at
fine
the
details.
yeah, the
too.
car crush. Always like the chrome rims. Did you do this a lot at the Autoramas? Was the car crush exhibition? I'll back the video. So when you did some of these Autoramas, did you enjoy doing the car crushes? Did that happen a lot at those events? In those Autoramas, did you do those a lot?
I did quite a few.
And in those Autoramas, did you do a lot of car crushes, or was it mostly just displays because of the size of the area?
It depended on the area, but the car crushes in the during the car show was kind of a big deal. It wasn't done that often, but when it was a big crowd pleaser.
Man, that's awesome. You know, we're gonna ask a few fan questions here before we go to our first commercial break and talk about the Bigfoot Ranger and, you know, Gravel-Rama and stuff like that. But we have one from Dustin Parks. He asks, Ken, have you ever been scared when driving?
Uh, one time really I got scared was when I got hurt, and that's when I got pulled through my shoulder harnesses, and they ended up having to lift me out of the truck. Yes, I was scared that time when I hit, but other than that, it was pretty much once you started to do it a show, it was more on concentrating on what you were going to do and how you were going to handle it.
And then also AJ just said, what was your favorite part of being part of the team?
That's kind of a hard question to answer. It was just being part of the team, I guess, a Bigfoot team. It was an excellent group of people to work with. I always had very good crew people, which made my job a lot easier.
And then our last one was just a simple question. Did you enjoy traveling in your time with Bigfoot?
I did for quite a while. Towards the end, it got old. I had a family, and I was gone most of the time. And that was a big factor in not wanting to do it anymore or travel anymore. I was young when I started, and as you go, you get older and things change.
Man, yeah, I always have friends that have done that, families, and things change and stuff like that, and go on and do what they want to do, and much respect for that. But we're going to take a commercial break here, and then we'll talk about Gravarama, and everyone probably wants to know about the Ranger dance, so we'll be right back. So, welcome. Thank you again for Back Channel Productions. Nick Davis doing all the shows and stuff like that for All Star Monster Truck Throwdown, and other shows, especially in the mud racing and sand drag. So that commercial kind of leads up to, the people talk about the Gravarama, and Bob. Then you ran Bigfoot 1 here. I think this is the second time they said that Bigfoot 1 went up the hill at Gravarama. Can you remember? Tell us a story about that certain day, and you also had other monster trucks there with like Hercules and USA 1. You had drag racing and stuff like that. How was running Bigfoot 1 at Gravarama?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Bob made the year before that. Bob made it over the hill for the first time, and I was there. The next year I came back and drove the truck myself. He wasn't there. I had the truck and a Bigfoot shuttle there. I was asked to take the shuttle over the top to what they call breaking the crest on the hill. Well, as you can see in that picture, you can see the roof line of that truck. You have to see that hill in person and stand at the bottom of it to really get the whole drift of what it's all about. That was kind of eerie to do that, because once you break over the top, you have no control on, you can't stop that because it's just going to sit there and slide down the hill. Okay. That was a very fun weekend. We did very well there that weekend. We probably would have did real well. If the transfer case wouldn't have popped out of gear on an uphill drag. Other than that, we had a very good weekend, and we got to bring the truck back home with no problems except for a transfer case issue. It was very fun to drive.
And how was it also racing against other monster trucks at the sand drag pit?
How was it? What?
Racing other
For
monster
drag
trucks.
racing?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. I always did enjoy that. I enjoyed all kinds of racing aspects. If it was flatline racing, if it was racing through the mud, racing over cars or what have you. It was always a challenge, never the same. Every time was different, and it was a learning curve.
And my last question for the Gravel-Rama, you were the second one to go. I think, Bob, you said the previous year took it up the Eliminator Hill. And
Yes.
I was told that you did it again the following year.
Correct.
Now, you said you're going down the other way with, shuttle, but you did the Eliminator going up.
Correct.
Was there a certain type of talk that Bob gave you about approaching that hill? But you were there previously, so you saw it. Was there any, you knew the truck could go up that hill. Was there anything that you were worried about that you thought that could stop you from going up it?
No, when you got down to the bottom of the hill to start, and you just looked up, like I said, once you started, there was no stopping. You either go or you don't go.
Oh man. And so, people, let's see here. Oh, okay, I got that. That right there. So we'll fast, we have to let know about this event. Then let's see here. Share. This is you with Bigfoot 5, and you crushing the cars and everything like that. Was that intimidating?
Just driving that truck's intimidating. As far as crushing them the first time around, yes. I remember you could, if you did look out the window, at times you could watch the tires like go in and out from the body.
Was there like an idea how you approach the cars?
But other than that, it was different to drive on cars, I should say.
And this is not the same Indianapolis Fair. This is not the Indianapolis Fairgrounds that people know the jamborees with. I think this is the Maryland County Fairgrounds, isn't it? Just watching the footage of Bigfoot 5 here. And it's, I think, at the Maryland County Fairgrounds at Indianapolis. This is 1988.
I can't hear your questions.
But so when you're trying to approach the cars, was there like a guideline, or how could you see you even hitting the cars? A lot of people say when you're driving on the left-hand side, you can see the tires, but the tires seem so wide and you have a huge blind spot. So how did you guide yourself on crushing these cars? I mean, hey, Levi? Yeah. Can you turn off your Wi-Fi?
Here.
See here, that's almost done with that car crush there. I think they're about to do the Bigfoot shuttle. Okay. You said it rained, I think, the night beforehand. So where they're doing the car crush at, there's a shuttle. Some technical difficulties right now with his internet and stuff like that. Some people ask to message him the question. I can do that. We'll pause. Pause it right there. Let's see here. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Ken.
I'm back.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. So, I was talking about here about how did you visually see over past the tires with a Bigfoot 5? Holy cow.
It wasn't easy, that's for sure.
What I noticed
You
here
always
was
usually had somebody out in front of you.
that last bump. Holy cow. I just saw that. Just that small bump over the cars. You guys are shaking.
You
like
see it rocking around inside?
Yeah.
Correct. Yep. It really multiplied it up there.
The next up is the Bigfoot shuttle. So, I mean, like you said, this thing was just a big block with nitrous, right?
Yes, we didn't use nitrous all the time, but it had it on it. It was equipped with it. It had the 3-liter V6 in it. Actually, it was a stock. It was completely stock Aerostar that they took everything on and set up. They built a frame for the bottom of it.
Now, this time, it didn't look like you launched a truck. You just went ahead and crushed over it. That thing was fast. You had the big block.
There was.
Go ahead.
There was a series of things you had to do that weekend. One was how fast you could go over the cars, and then the next one was a distance jump. There was two different. That's the time track there.
Yeah, because there was one photo here. Let's go right here. So that was the angle of that photo. Looks like you're about the same height as the stands. Let's talk about that story.
It was up there.
were you gonna were you planning on doing that like that, or what was it? It's probably one of the most iconic moments of Team Bigfoot's history.
That was the distance jump for that truck. That was the second phase of the 48-inch class. Was I planning on that? No. Did I know it was like that when I was up there? No. After I seen footage, then I was like, wow, we did something.
Because one guy said the air Kent that could get with that Ranger was always amazing for the era, the suspension on it. What was the story about building that truck? I mean, do you still remember when Bob or Jim came over to you and talk about we're gonna put a big motor in this little truck?
No, I just remember the truck being built. It was originally called Miss Bigfoot. Built, I guess, for Maryland per se. She did drive it a couple of times, and then another woman by the name of Janice Oliver started driving it, and then the truck got phased out and turned into the Bigfoot Ranger. And then I drove it once in a while. I wasn't the only one that drove it, but I drove it every once in a while.
Mike Hedman was asking about this one. Did you have more fun driving Bigfoot 1 or Bigfoot Ranger?
I really enjoyed driving the Ranger, but I had a lot of good times in one, in the mud.
I remember Jim Kramer was telling me that because we had a question, and there's footage of Bigfoot 8 with 48s. And someone was asking if there was a race you.
That was back when they were just testing it to see how the suspension and stuff would work in it. They had 48s on it instead of the 66s. But that wasn't me that was testing it now.
But they asked Jim that, and he said if there wasn't any obstacles between the two trucks, he would pick the Ranger over Bigfoot 8. Who would you pick in the drag race between Ranger and Bigfoot 8? They both had 48s. Well, obviously, one has 48s, but put 48s on 8.
Probably a Ranger still, because it had a lot more horsepower.
He was telling me that one time telling me at one time, if you go off a standing still light and hammer the gas on Ranger, you can have all 4 tires like burn, like spin rubber.
Yeah, there's I know there's footage of Indy, me and Bigfoot 1 getting ready to get into the mud pit, and when I launched, the whole truck come off the ground.
Holy cow!
I mean,
but we're gonna.
It had serious horsepower.
And so Jim, we're gonna talk about the time for you behind the wheel of Bigfoot 4 at some of the events. Rich Hoosier retired in '88, and then you kind of took over for at like Pittsburgh and Houston and stuff like that. So you be behind the wheel of the truck and stuff like that. Here was one of them in Pittsburgh. How was that? Wouldn't you still remember getting the call to get behind the wheel for? Was there a plan for you to stick with it the whole time, or was it just for you to sit in and then, because before you know it, Andy Brass drove it for a few, then John Pyatt pretty much had the truck. What was the talks after Rich Hoosier not passed away, but retired?
I was offered it before Rich. I opted not to drive that truck because of the point series that would be involved. You were pretty much going to be locked into every weekend. Like I said, I had family, and I didn't want to make that commitment. So I passed. So that's when Rich went in. The only thing I did when he retired out, I was just told, here, you go here or go there with that truck, and I did. I drove every vehicle they built all the way up till 8.
So pretty much,
even including the fast track.
So pretty much, you wanted to stay home, be there, and then like fill in if needed. This one's from '88 in Houston.
Yes.
Did you prefer indoors or did you like outdoor racing?
Actually, I liked them both. It was just the traveling got old is what happened. It was overwhelming.
Did you also
and turn
enjoy
around
doing
and do the same thing the next week?
Yeah. Did you enjoy also doing like the dealership car crushes and stuff like that for dealerships?
Yeah, they were fun. You got to meet a lot of people. A lot of people that maybe couldn't afford to go to a show would turn out there. So they got.
Yeah, there's a little bit of footage there. And then let's see here. Last against Four Wheel Crazy. I think this is the finals. Who's your crew guy that was jumping up and down? Man, that was pretty cool footage. And
that was George Smith.
Okay. Let's see here. And then
he was also
another
a long
one.
time friend of Jim's.
Okay. And then so another one I wanted to take a look at, another footage wise, was the 1989 5,000 show with Team Bigfoot. You're driving Bigfoot 1 in this event. That day, can you tell us a story about how that all came about? Look at that young man.
The 5,000 show. That was quite the weekend. It was a lot of work for all of us, but it was a fun time. It would be fun to see that happen again with all their trucks together, but I know that'll never happen. So, I was at a disadvantage here. That truck there was so far behind times, but it still had the horsepower in it. So we could make up a little bit of time for the different things that I couldn't do with it.
I was about to say, I think
at that
you're the
point in
only
time,
one
it didn't have rear steering in it.
Also, I don't think you crush cars. Yeah. But Hey, we got a few more questions to ask, and then we have one more commercial here, and we'll go from here. So we'll be right back. Thank you again for MTRC, Kobe Marshall, and what they do and everything like that. So my last kind of Bigfoot question for you before we get to what you're doing now and your hot rods and stuff like that was the only rollover that you had with Bigfoot, and it was in Bigfoot 6 at Kansas City, Missouri, Arrowhead Stadium. I don't know who the video we're having has everything on it. Let's talk about that. Your only rollover. I think it was involving racing, but how did that go? And then I think we also have it on board.
A USA show in Arrowhead, and we were doing really well. Some people say that I went into the corner too fast, which is when it happened. I knew exactly what I did. I hit a bale of straw in a turn, and it flipped me over. But I was told I was going too fast, and it's like, well, I was driving a truck, not you. I only drove as fast as I felt comfortable, and I didn't feel uncomfortable. It just was one of them things that happened. And that's an inside shot of what's going on as I'm going over. Pretty quick.
I think, if I remember correctly, you're facing Dan Patrick and Samson. Yep, you hit that hay bale and it tripped the tires. And there you go.
Yeah, it pitched the truck over. And it was fast.
Yeah. So, you talked about a little bit about your hot rods. You have a hot rod. Let's talk a little bit about that one. You said you had this vehicle almost 40 years.
It's almost 50 now, or it might even be 50 now. It's been through many phases with me. It's the only thing really stock on it's the body anymore, and part of the frame. All the modifications I've done myself. I've got the motor. What's interesting about it is the motor that was in Bigfoot 5 when they bought Bigfoot 5, which it was called Godzilla then. when they didn't want that motor. They didn't know nothing about the motor or anything like that. And so I bought that motor, and that motor to this day is still in that truck. And it's fun to drive. It's a head turner. It's not real pretty. It's not a custom, but it gets me from point A to point B quite fast.
That's pretty cool. And we have one fan asking, what does Ken do with his time now? Heard you retired, so congratulations about that.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been retired for about 2 weeks now. I keep myself busy working in my garage. And matter of fact, yesterday, I was working on my hot rod. I bought a new instrument panel for it. And, when I had built it, I run the exhaust close to the transmission, which wouldn't allow my new instrument panel to hook up the speedometer. So I had to cut the exhaust free in it on the one side and reroute it so I could get the generator stuck in the side of the transmission, which I've finished now. And the only thing I got to do now is just take it out and drive it for a mile and get it to set. So I just stay busy.
And my last question is this event. I saw this on your Facebook. And how was that running for USA and Australia?
That was fun. Jim did the first 2 weeks over there, and I did the second 2 weeks over there. It was an experience that I probably never would have gone to Australia in my lifetime. So that made it all that much better. I wished I could have took my family with me, but you know how that is. That gets expensive. The people were very welcoming there. I would like to go back again without a truck so I could go and sightsee. Maybe one day I will, now that I've retired. Who knows? The bad part about what we did was we was usually always on the run. You know, we were either working a show or we were driving to or from. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of sightseeing time involved or left.
Man. And then also the pictures of Pittsburgh. That was my buddy's first show he saw live. And I think this is the same shit that Tom Mentz dumped in his mud racer.
Yes.
When they were talking about you were having like a power steering issue throughout that whole weekend?
No, what it was with the track being that small or so close, if I would have went up another gear, we wouldn't have had the momentum that we could carry in the gear I was in, which we had the motor RPMs up, so it was pumping all the oil up into the valve covers, and it was causing it to blow it out of the breather, and it would hit the header and catch on fire.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the time trial run and everything like that. And
Right.
Also you had the mud on each corner too.
Well, that was a horseshoe track. You started on one side and you finished on the other. So there was that arena is not very big. So like I said, you pretty much had to just keep your RPMs up to be able to do anything. Because if you would have went to the next gear, you probably wouldn't have been able to pull out of it, pull through. You would have pulled through, but not as fast as you could do with higher RPMs, put it that way.
So I'm guessing every single time you exit out of the track, you probably had to tilt the hood.
Oh, yeah, just to make sure that everything was cool out there. The fire would go out pretty quick.
Oh, okay. So that's pretty crazy to know about that and everything like that. So are you gonna be a part of the Bigfoot 50th?
I'll probably be down there for that, yes.
So what do you think? 50 years of Bigfoot, 50 years of monster trucks. I bet you when you first started, you thought it was just a flash in the pan. But it came a long way. And it got to be awesome to be a part of that.
When I started with them in '82, I gave it 5 years. I was like, yeah, this is a fad. It'll be around 5 years and be gone. And all of a sudden, I was working on 20 years there, and I was like, man, I need to do something with my life. And I can't drive anymore, or I don't want to drive anymore. I couldn't drive anymore because I don't want to hurt myself anymore. Their new trucks are a lot smoother, from what I understand. That's something I'll never know. I don't care to even try to do again. But it was fun. It's been an exciting trip.
Yeah, Julie was on. She said, Jim says that it's great to hear stories from Kenny. They didn't really get to do many shows together.
No, we were usually at opposite ends of the country. He did the West Coast and I did the East Coast for the most part.
And then you said prior to it, you had a chance to drive some of the newer trucks back then, like 10 and 11, for some car crushes. How was that for you?
Oh, it was definitely a big improvement over the leaf spring trucks. No doubt in my mind. Matter of fact, I talked to Jim after he did his last ride thing at Bigfoot, and he's like, "You wouldn't believe you're just there. You can't move. You can't do this. You can't do that." And I was like, "I believe you. I don't want to do that. I just don't." I was, when I got hurt, that was enough. I called it done.
But like you said, you thought it was just, in and out. But now it's become the fastest growing motorsport in the world. And you could say it, you helped build it. And
yeah, I got to be a part of it from literally just driving or crawling over cars to flying over cars or jumping over cars. What they do today, more power to them. It must be nice to be young is the only thing I can say.
And well, I can't ask. We always honor him, but do you have a funny and clean Ron Bachman story?
A Ron Bachman story. Oh, I've got tons of them. Me and Ron used to travel.
Give 3 of them if you have a chance.
The one that comes to my mind the fastest, or to me was the funniest, I should say. Me and him stopped one night to eat dinner, and we were done for the day. We walked from our motel over to the restaurant, and we sat down and we ordered up a beer, and the waitress set the beers down and she turned her back, and Ron took his beer and he just guzzled it and slapped it down on the table and told the girl, he goes, I thought you gave me a beer. And she's like, what? And she literally got down on the floor and felt the carpet to see if it was wet, that he dumped it out. I've never seen somebody be able to do that before. That man could chug a lug of beer so fast he could do it by the time a waitress would spin around. And me and him had a lot of fun with that. Another time that we was in Canada one time at a car show. He asked about car shows, and me and him was doing a car show, and they had a strongman contest there. And me and him was there. We was the only 2 there, for Bigfoot. So I kept on him. I was like, go up there and you can outlift them guys. You had to lift cases of beer. How many cases of beer you could lift? So he's like, no. And you have to know, Ron, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't do it. I shamed him into that. Just go up there and do it. So finally he did. He went up there and he outlifted them all, but we couldn't do nothing with the beer because we couldn't bring it back across the border with us, They ended up calling it a disqualification. They said he cheated. And I was like, oh, that's a bunch of crap. But we was in Canada, so we just left it go. We had our fun, so I God, that's the two that really popped in my head right now. I'd have to think about some other ones, I guess. But
what was drawn to you? You know, I mean, what was he like? And seemed like he was a really fun guy.
oh, he was a supersized man's all he was. Just as gentle as a kid. I mean, he'd do anything for you. I was the one got him on there. A buddy of mine called me and asked me, he's like, "Hey, are they hiring up there?" And I was like, "Yeah, they're always usually hiring." And I said, "Just tell them, give them my name or whatever." And he came up, and I never knew him before that. And me and him became good friends. And he lived a long time with him, or worked a long time with him. He was their mascot, I should say, or per se. I know they sent him over to Japan just to see what outcome would be. Bigfoot, and they got hit around there and got all these sharp people walking around. That had to have been funny as heck. And I know when I'd walk next to him, I always felt like a midget, because he was big.
Yeah, it's so awesome to know about. And you got the chance to drive fast tracks. How was that too?
That was a lot of fun to drive. Cool thing about fast tracks is you didn't have to do nothing. Just drive it on a trailer, bind it down, and go. You didn't have to take tires off of it. You didn't have to do anything. It's kind of like the Ranger. You didn't have to really do a whole lot to that. You could drive it in and out of a trailer with tires on. You didn't have to mess with that. So it's a lot less work than running the trucks.
And like how it landed. I remember Mark and Tim Hall, they had the heavy metal tank, and they drove by, and you could feel the ground shake.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing that tank's the same way, but it had like this neat suspension on it compared to the others.
Yes. I mean, when you drove it across the ground, you probably wouldn't feel the ground shake as bad as most tanks because of the suspension in it. Now, when it did land, you knew a bunch of weight landed if you landed hard. But all in all, it didn't. It run good. It landed pretty decent. Every once in a while, it would land wrong, and it'd let you know it. So it was awesome.
And then my final question for tonight was there anything that came to fruition, maybe like snake bite, fast tracks, or some type of project Bob had that you had to scratch your head and you're wondering how we're going to work this, and then somehow it worked? Was that probably snake bite?
Yeah, snake bite was just a different concept. It wasn't what any of us was used to being around. We were all Bigfoot orientated, and you're introducing a new vehicle to per se the team, but it wasn't, it wasn't supposed to be part of the team in a way, I guess. It'd been, hidden out or whatever. I don't know how to explain that part of it. But it caught on, and it did very well. The 3D body stuff took off, change of pace. And now you look at what happened today. I mean, my God, there's all kinds of bodies out there now.
Is there anyone in social media can follow you at? Just Facebook, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook.
Man, well.
Other than that, I usually keep a low profile.
Well, if anyone sees him at the Bigfoot Open House celebrating the 50th anniversary, he'll be there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for being on. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but we got through it. And we may do a Bigfoot roundtable just for one of our episodes, and we'd love to have you on again.
No problem. I'd love to be on.
Well, thank you. Anything you want to say to the Bigfoot fans that are on here before you go? And anything you want to say to the fans and the Bigfoot fans?
I guess thank you for being a fan, and thanks for hanging with them all these years. Yeah, awesome. Looking forward to more years.
Well, thank you, Ken. Thank you for the interview.
All right. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Hey guys, thank you for the interview and thank you for everything that has gone on. Sorry about the technical difficulties and the downtime, the dead time that came about. I do apologize for that if it was on my end, even on if it's on his end. We'll try to maybe do a one-on-one, face-to-face conversation, maybe mic to mic, and do it that way. But you know, thank you for what they have done. Thank you, Bigfoot. I'm going to try to do a roundtable meeting. I'm going to try to get Jim on one of these times again, and go from there. But next week is Alex Barton. I probably just screwed up his last name, but he started off with Monster Wars and Mike Harper, and went on to drive for Stone Crusher. Did a stadium event with Bounty Hunter in 2018 or 19, and also ran Stone Crusher, raced him in Pittsburgh last year, and now he's with Team Throttle Monster with Earthshaker and them, but he just got injured. But I think he's crewing for some people in that nature. So next week's Alex Barton, and then we will have our next RC, this month's RC guest, and it's going to be none other than Michael Bufka, the guy who makes all those pretty cool RC trucks and stuff like that. So once again, thank you for everyone that's on. Thank you for Ken to be on too, and all you fans. Thank you for the 5-star likes. I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, the roundtable. I think I'm going to try to push that in May before the June open house and go from there. But once again, guys, thank you. And then the beginning of April, we will have our MW1 Kick It Old School Mark Warner. And the guest could be some giant out east, maybe Virginia. We'll see how that goes. So once again, Bradshaw, I'm Dan Chichegosh. Keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up. Peace. By the way, take a screenshot, tag us, say you watched the episode, and have a good time. So thank you guys. See ya.